Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everything is well. I'm gonna try to post this video today too, but I'm just going through this right now with Slippyndrippy's post. Is Bob undervalued? A deep dive. What we're getting from this is that 70 TC individual miner contribution to block divided by 386 TC total contribution to block equals 18% chance of receiving the block reward. I think this is wrong, and this is not true. I went through here and I love Frosty Tip Bastard, but he's saying the math checks out. Using OP's figures, if you contribute 70 TC to the block and the total TC to mine the block is 386, then 70 divided by 386 equals 18% chance to get the block. Your chances of receiving the block are proportional to your contribution to the total TCs used to mine a block. I don't think this is right, and I started going through my head here, just thinking about a lot of different things, but I figured out some more details along the way, and this is what I'm getting. So I gave ChatGPT all the information I know about. The current block reward is 300 Bob. TC values is fixed at $1 per teracycle. ICP's price fluctuates and Bob's price fluctuates. Bob has a fixed supply of 21 million with halvings occurring every 17,500 blocks. Mother node miner selection seems to be stable at 270 active miners per round of mining. There are currently 22,797 total miners, and the initial rewards for Bob at the beginning were 600 Bob per block. Currently, we are at 20,418 blocks mined. Please give me an analysis of how we can calculate individual miner profitability and how this affects the ecosystem. So let's go through a step-by-step now. We know all these parameters. We know this mining environment parameter. This is just, on average. The fixed number, we're going to keep it fixed at 270 for the mother node selection because that's the best we can do right now. Burn mechanism. TCs are burned during mining, reducing ICP supply and influencing ICP and Bob's prices. Correct. So now, step one. Okay, let's get this data on lock. Come on, don't break on me. We need this. OpenAI has been really struggling lately. It needs to get on ICP network. That's what it needs to do. All right, step one, mining reward per miner. The reward per block is currently 300 Bob, shared among 270 miners. Reward per miner per block. Block reward divided by active miners. Reward per miner per block equals 300 divided by 270 equals 111. This is untrue. This is untrue. This needs to be set up better. One second, let me fix this. This step one is incorrect when it comes to the mining reward. There are 270 active miners selected by the mother node, but only one miner ends up with the reward. Okay, that should help it out. This changes the calculation significantly. Yes, it does. Since only one miner among the 270 active miners receives the full 300 Bob reward, the probability of an individual miner earning the reward in a single round is this. Here we go. P winning reward equals 1 divided by total active miners. Winning reward equals 1 over 270. Thus, the reward per block for an individual miner in expectation terms is expected reward per block, winning reward, multiplied by block reward. Expected reward per block, so we can do 1 over 270 multiplied by 300, 1.11 Bob per block expected value. This expected reward reflects the statistical average across many blocks, even though any single block rewards one miner. Daily reward. Expected value. If 144 blocks are mined per day, the expected daily reward for an individual miner is expected daily reward, which would be the 1.11, multiplied by the blocks per day, 144, which equals 159.84 Bob per day expected value. This calculation assumes consistent mining participation over many rounds. Step 3, mining cost per miner. If each miner contributes an average of 350 TCs per block to compete for reward. So this is assuming way higher than what we usually do, because we can obviously see here on the Bob mining website, it's about 44, 70, 27. It's not 350, but this is just for examples. Daily mining cost per miner equals TC contribution per block multiplied by blocks per day multiplied by TC value. So daily mining cost per miner equals 350 divided by, or multiplied by, or times 144 times 1, which equals 50,400, or $50,400 per day. That is way too high. I mean, that's for the 350 TC. So this is assuming that each miner has to sacrifice, each individual miner has to sacrifice 350 teracycles to accrue a block. That's why it's so high. It looks so disgustingly high. That's one day it'll be like that. Profitability per miner. The profitability depends on the market price of Bob. So we'll use P Bob as that, and is calculated as daily mining revenue equals expected daily reward times P Bob. Profitability per miner equals daily mining revenue minus daily mining costs. So step 5, implications on the ecosystem. Halvings tighten miner economics. Current block reward is 300 Bob. After block 35,000, the reward halves to 150 Bob. Expected daily reward per miner will also have increasing reliance on Bob price appreciation to maintain profitability. Correct. Competition drives up cost. With 22,797 miners, only 270 are selected per round, and just one earns the reward. This intense competition incentivizes higher TC contributions per block, raising mining costs over time. Price elasticity of Bob. See, this is correct too. For mining to remain viable, P Bob has to be greater than the daily mining cost divided by the expected daily reward. Substituting current values, 50,400, assuming 350 teracycles individually contributed to get a block, divided by, so the PBOB has to be greater than the 50,400 divided by 159.84 expected daily rewards, which means that the price of Bob would have to be $315.43. If Bob's price falls below this threshold, miners will exit until competition decreases, stabilizing costs and profitability. Burn mechanics amplify scarcity. Increased TC burns reduce ICP supply, indirectly supporting ICP's price. Higher IC prices drive up TC costs, which further pressurizes Bob's price to rise, creating a deflationary feedback loop. This is on the mark. Long-term equilibrium. As halvings reduce block rewards and more Bob is burned. It's my phone. Shut up. As halvings reduce block rewards and more Bob is burned, mining becomes less attractive unless Bob's price increases significantly or fewer miners compete, reducing average TC costs per miner. Summary. The profitability of an individual miner depends heavily on Bob's market price and average TC contributions. Here's how the dynamic plays out. Expected reward per miner is approximately equal to 159.84 Bob per day. We're going to use this as the expected reward miner count. Daily mining costs, about $50,400, assuming a 350 teracycle individual miner contribution to get a block. Profitability condition. P Bob has to be greater than 315.43 USD to break even with current assumptions. Ecosystem effects. Halvings tighten supply, driving price upward. Rising TC costs increase Bob's price pressure, maintaining profitability for miners. And 3, market competition regulates miner participation, balancing supply and demand. This interplay ensures that mining remains economically balanced with halvings and burns, reinforcing scarcity and value appreciation. So now from all of this, from finally having it correct in ChatGPT, we can ask it one simple question. How do we calculate an individual miner's chance of acquiring a block? You need to consider the miner's TC contribution relative to the total TC contributions for the mining round. P winning block equals individual miner TC contribution divided by total miner round TC contribution. Individual miner TC contribution, TC individual, the number of teracycles contributed by the specific miner for that block. See, here's the thing. It's not for that one block. Total miner round TC contribution, the total sum of teracycles contributed by all 270 selected miners for that round. Is that how this works? Because that's not how it works. So here's the thing. Individual TC miner contributions are totaled over all subsequent rounds, meaning that the value at the block mined represents multiple TC sacrifices for previous blocks. Does this change the formula? Yes, if individual TC contributions are totaled over multiple rounds, it changes how we calculate the probability of acquiring a block. The new formula must account for the cumulative TC contributions from all miners across the rounds leading up to the block being mined. So P winning block equals cumulative TC contributions divided by total cumulative TC contributions. Cumulative individual TC contribution. The numerator cumulative TC contribution by individual miner is the sum of all TC contributions the miner has made in the rounds leading up to the block being made. Total cumulative TC contributions. The denominator, the total cumulative TC contributions, is the sum of contributions from all active miners over the same rounds. Here's the difference though. For total cumulative TC contributions, that only applies to the specific round. We will call this total cycles burned. For individual miner TC contribution, that is correct. All this miner cycles burned. Does this change the formula? Thank you for clarification. If total cumulative TC contributions, now referred to as total cycles burned, only applies to the specific mining round, while individual miner TC contributions, now referred to as miner cycles burned, accumulates across all previous rounds, the formula changes slightly to account for this distinction. Now we have it correct. Updated formula. Winning block equals miner cycles burned divided by total cycles burned per round. Explanation of terms. Miner cycles burned cumulative, the sum of the miner's contributions across all previous rounds leading up to the current block. This gives the miner a stake in the block being mined proportional to their historical contribution. Total cycles burned per round, the total contributions from all 270 miners in the current mining round. This represents the competition for the specific block being mined. Key difference in the formula. The denominator is now round specific while the numerator is cumulative for the miner. This change reflects how the cumulative contributions of an individual miner interact with the competitive contributions in a single round. Given miner cycle burned cumulative, a miner has contributed 35,000 teracycles over the lifetime of their mining activity. Total cycles burned per round. In the current round, 270 miners each contribute 350 teracycles. Total cycles burned equals 270 multiplied by 350, which equals 94,500 teracycles. P winning block equals miner cycles burned divided by total cycles burned. So, approximately 37.02% per block. Effects of the change. Greater weight for miner contributions. Since miner cycles burned accumulates over time, consistent contributions gain a higher probability over time relative to sporadic or new miners. This encourages miners to stay active across many rounds. Competition in each round still matters. Even if a miner has a large cumulative stake, their probability is still influenced by the total cycles burned in the current round. Larger total contributions from competitors reduce the chance of an individual miner winning the block. That's the thing, you can't. Total miner contributions. So we're connected currently, thankfully. So if I go to mining, we can see here. Yes. Yes, this is what we have to add because it's assuming that you can just contribute as many teracycles as you want per round. There is a limit to how much a single miner can consume teracycles per day. We call this cycles per day. This at a max speed can be set at 99.999 trillion. Because we know 99.99 trillion simply represents the cycles. I know 1,000 cycles equals 1 teracycle. So this can be set at 99 trillion cycles per day. 1,000 cycles equals 1 teracycle. How does this change things up? Yes, this significantly changes the dynamics of mining and individual miner probabilities. Max cycles per day for a miner is 99 trillion cycles. Converting this to TC per day, max TC per day is this divided by 1,000, which equals 99.999 million TC per day. Converting this to TC per day. Yes, that makes sense. Implications. Individual miners can only contribute up to 99.999 million TCs per day. This sets a hard upper bound on miner cycles burned, limiting the advantage of larger scale miners who might otherwise dominate by contributing disproportionately more TC. This was an issue before, now they fixed it. Probability of winning a block. The miner cycles burned is now constrained by the cycles per day cap. Miner cycles burned cumulative equals minimum actual contributions max TC per day times days contributed. The probability remains P winning block equals miner cycles burned cumulative divided by total cycles burned per round. Key impacts. Fairness among miners. The cap ensures that no single miner can contribute indefinitely higher TC to dominate the mining rounds. This levels the playing field for smaller miners who cannot match the unlimited contributions of large-scale operators. Stability in total cycles burned. The cap imposes an effective ceiling on the maximum contribution from any single miner. This stabilizes the total cycles burned in each round, ensuring that mining rounds are not dominated by a few contributors. Competitive dynamics. Higher capacity miners operating at the limit of 99.99 million TCs per day still maintain an advantage, but they can no longer endlessly increase contributions. Smaller miners competing near the limit can achieve similar probabilities with consistent contributions. Strategic contributions. For miners who consistently hit the cycles per day cap, long-term cumulative contributions, miner cycles burned remain the dominant factor for determining block probabilities. For smaller miners, achieving daily contributions closer to the cap maximizes their competitiveness. Example with the cap. Given that max TCs per day equals 99.99 million TCs per day, which doesn't have to be necessarily correct, we just have to let it know that there is a cap. Miner contributes at max capacity for 10 days. Miner cycles burned cumulative equals 99.999 times 10, so 999.99 million TCs. Total cycles burned for the current round equals 94,500 TC. 270 miners at 350 teracycles each. We're assuming this is way up. Probability calculation. For simplicity, assume only this miner is capped. P winning a block. Miner cycles burned cumulative divided by total cycles burned per round. So the winning block equals 99. We're gonna wait a minute. For simplicity, assume only this miner is capped. So if we take the total cumulative miner cycles burned, we'll assume that it hits the cap, divided by 94,500, meaning each miner that contributed at 350 TCs each with 270 miners equals 10,583,000, extremely high compared to uncapped miners. Broader ecosystem impacts. Miner scaling is limited. Even large-scale miners are constrained by the cycles per day cap, preventing runaway dominance. This encourages decentralization as no one single miner can consume excessive TC to skew probabilities. Mining efficiency becomes crucial. With a cap, miners must balance efficiency, contributing close to the limit, with costs to maximize their long-term cumulative contributions. Increased importance of Bob price. As miners approach the cap, profitability depends more on Bob's market price than on the ability to contribute additional TC. Adding this cap creates a fair and more decentralized mining ecosystem, limiting the dominance of large-scale miners and emphasizing long-term consistent contributions. The adjusted formula ensures competitiveness, while the cap stabilizes total cycles burned, keeping the system balanced. Thing is, one person can have more than one miner, but these miners are still capped. In our examples, let us presume a total TC contribution from all miners is, let's see, we have that here, total cycles burned, total TC burned equals around 350 TCs. This isn't per miner, this is the total from all 270 miners selected from the mother node. Individual TCs burned stays the same, but let's assume they have to burn on average 70 TCs or $70 to acquire a block. How can I calculate miner profitability of this information? Under these assumptions, where total TC burned equals 350 teracycles across all 270 miners in a round, and individual TC burn is 70 TC on average, miner contribution, so we define the key contributions. Each miner contributes on average 70 TC per round. Total TC burned across all 270 miners is 350 TC per block. Miner's probability of winning is still P winning block equals individual miner TC burned divided by total TC burned. Substituting values, the block reward is 300 Bob. In Bob's price, denote the market price of P Bob. So calculate expected reward per miner. The expected reward is the block reward multiplied by the probability of winning. So expected reward equals P winning block times block reward, which is 0.2 times 360 Bob per block. The cost for an individual miner per block is based on their TC burn. Mining cost, individual TC burned multiplied by TC value. So mining cost equals 70 TC multiplied by 1, which is 70 USD per block. Calculate profitability. Profitability depends on the market price of PBOB. The revenue from mining is mining revenue equals expected reward times PBOB. So profitability equals mining revenue minus mining costs, substituting. So profitability would equal 60 times whatever PBOB is minus 70. Let's assume PBOB can be anything. So in this scenario, it'd be like 60 multiplied by the current price of Bob, which we can see here is 0.85. Was that minus 70? 19. So they are minus $19. Analyze profitability threshold. For mining to be profitable, profitability has to be greater than 0. So 60 times PBOB has to be greater than 70. So PBOB greater than 70 divided by 60 equals $1.70 USD per Bob, which is exactly true. This is perfect, literally, because we can see that we have it set here that if they're burning this many teracycles, and we take the simple mathematics, which is there's $300 Bob in a reward. I think it's that. No. So it's 332 divided by 300, which gives you a fixed price of $1.10. So since Bob is not at this price, miners are actually unprofitable right now, which is exactly what we want ChatGPT to tell us. So to analyze profitability, we take, that's the perfect formula, man. Total miner contributions burned by the individual divided by the block reward has to be equal to $1.17. Since we have, wait a minute. I need to make sure I get this 100% right. Mining revenue equals expected reward of Bob times the price of Bob. Profitability is mining revenue minus mining cost. Substituting, we get 60 times P Bob minus 70. Because expected reward is 0.2 multiplied by 300, which equals 60 per block. Since we are using this formula, individual miner TC burned divided by total TC burned, this is the miner's probability of winning. So, if it's a 20% chance per block, the block reward is 300. We take that 20% chance, multiply it by 300, we're expected to get about 60 Bob per block mined. Even if you don't mine that block specifically, over the course of however many you mine in that specific sacrifice of 70 TCs, we're saying that on average you're getting about 60 Bob per block. You take that 60 Bob per block, you multiply it by the current price of Bob minus 70, and it gives you the profitability. So they are currently unprofitable. Example scenarios. If P Bob equals 2 USD divided by Bob per Bob, so if P Bob equals $2, the probability equals 60 times 2 minus 70, which would leave you in 50 USD profit. If P Bob equals 1 USD, well, now we're at a $10 loss per block. Impact of multiple miners per individual. If a person operates multiple miners, profitability scales linearly with the number of miners. So total profitability equals number of miners multiplied by profitability per miner. A person with 5 miners contributes 5 times 70, 350 teracycles. Their probability of winning increases proportionally. So then they have a 100% chance of winning the block. Interesting. So their probability of winning increases proportionally. So I have an example of one guy. We will call him. I want to make sure this is 100% correct before I make a final assumption. L2X4A. He has 140 miners. How does this affect things? He operates 140 miners. This significantly impacts his mining probabilities, costs, and profitability due to the scale of his operation. Here's how this setup would affect things. Total cycles burned around, fixed at 350 teracycles across all 270 miners. Total TCs burned by L2X4A in a round would be, his contribution would be 140 multiplied by 70. So his total miners multiplied by how many teracycles he's sacrificing, which would be 9,800 teracycles, which is the $9,800. The probability of winning a block. Winning a block for him would be his contribution divided by total cycles burned TC. Substituting values, we get 9,800 divided by 350 total cycles burned. And this is assuming that this is the fixed amount of total miners that are contributing to mining a block. So it'd be about 28. So however, this probability exceeds 1, which means he would win every block in this round and overflow into subsequent rounds. So that's where the burn rate comes in. Sacrifice, adjusting for competition. To account for the presence of other miners, total contribution by all miners is still capped at 350 TC with 270 miners. Average TC per miner in the round. Average TC would be 350 divided by 270 equals 1.296 teracycles per miner. That's how much one miner can contribute in a single round, approximately. Since L2X4A contributes more, 9,800 teracycles, his probability dominates. It seems there was a miscalculation earlier due to the confusion around the capped total cycles burned in a round. Let me clarify how his miners affect probabilities. So here's the thing. The total cycles burned in a round is not fixed at 350 TC. This can change and has been fluctuating. That has been fluctuating. Let's see if that changes anything. This introduces variability into the mining dynamics. Total cycles burned. This represents the total contribution, blah, 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 blah. Might range from 300 teracycles to 500 teracycles or higher in different rounds. For his 140 miners contribute 70 teracycles per block on average. See, that's the thing. It's not. L2X4A is not contributing 70 TCs on average. Individual miner contribution is totaled over all rounds, while total cycles burned is correlative to that specific round. Individual miner contributions are cumulative over all rounds, and total cycles burned applies only to a specific round. Then we need to account for the difference between these two variables to accurately calculate his probability of winning a block and his profitability. Assumptions. So L2X4A's cumulative contribution. This is the total cycles burned by L2X4A across all previous rounds, summed up for his 140 miners. Total cycles burned. This is the total TC burned by all 270 miners in the specific round. So his probability of winning a block is cumulative contribution divided by total cycles burned in the current round. Cool, cool. So we take his cumulative contribution. Let's say he's contributed 10 million teracycles over all previous rounds. Total cycles burned in the current round. Assume this fluctuates. Scenario 1, 1 million teracycles. Scenario 2, 500,000. Probability for each scenario. So as the winning block, P winning block equals 10 million divided by 1 million, which is the TCs for total for that round. So we'll say all miners burned about 1 million teracycles for this round. He has 10, dominates and likely wins most blocks. Scenario 2, it's 500,000. 20 dominates even further, maintaining the same amount of sacrifice per block. If L2X4A's contribution far exceeds TC total round, he likely wins almost all blocks in that round, or the chances. Expected reward per block. The expected reward is the block reward multiplied by the probability of winning. Expected reward per Bob equals P winning block times block reward. So we'll say that scenario 1, TC total round equals 1 million. Expected reward for Bob equals 10 times 300 dominates the reward. So he's just dominating all the time. His profitability is dependent on his total miners times 70 equals 9,800 per block. Mining revenues. The mining revenue depends on the block reward in the market price of Bob. Mining revenue equals expected reward times the price of Bob. So the probability, blah, blah, blah. So we'll say P Bob equals 50 USD per Bob. Scenario 1, TC total round equals 1 million. Mining revenue equals 300 times 50 equals 15,000 US dollars. His profitability would be 15,000 minus 9,800. He is 5,200 USD profit per block. So scenario 2, it's 500,000. So his mining revenue equals 300 times 50, which is the price of Bob. This is the total reward of Bob, equals 15,000 USD minus his cost. Yeah, this is the exact same formula. I don't know why it's just restating that. Observations. He is dominant. Profitability threshold depends on PBOB for mining. So if PBOB is greater than the total mining cost divided by expected rewards. This is it. This is what I've been looking for this whole time. His profitability depends on the price of Bob, which must be greater than his total mining cost divided by expected rewards. So if we take that, profitability equals L2X4A's cumulative contribution divided by total cycles burned for the current round times the block reward times PBOB minus total mining costs. Man, that's a formula. This formula reflects the interplay between cumulative contributions, round-specific competition, and the market price of Bob. So we can say, so let's say that L2X4A contributes 70 TCs per miner on average, and total cycles burned current round equals about 400, you know? Actually, let's make it 350 because that's what it is right now. And then we do block 350. Block reward is at 300. P Bob equals 0.8539. And total mining cost. Total mining cost would be equal to 70 TCs burned on average per miner. Okay. Yep, all that information. Cool. Awesome. So his profitability. Okay, cool. Oh man, so much to this. It gets me confused. Under these conditions, so here we go. Observations. Loss-making operation. With PBOB equaling 0.8539, L2X48 operates at a significant loss due to high mining costs relative to revenue. Break-even price for Bob. To break even, PBOB must satisfy. Mining revenue must be greater than or equal to total mining costs, obviously. So, PBOB times expected reward must be greater than or equal to total mining cost. So if it's greater than 9,800, which is what he's sacrificing about per day, for all 140 miners at 70 teracycles, divided by 155.55, which is the expected reward of Bob, which equals $63 per Bob. That's what the price must be for him to be profitable in specifics. Price sensitivity is significantly higher than that, indicating the current operation is unsustainable. Inclusion under these conditions, L2X4A's high mining costs and low Bob price result in a substantial loss. Profitability depends on a much higher P Bob to justify the current level of TC mining. To improve efficiency, L2X4A could reduce TC contributions or scale back operations if P Bob remains low. So when I was looking at this post, I guess what he said was correct. This is what you can figure out is the chance of receiving the block reward. This is correct. So I'm sorry on that part. You are correct. I'm the dumb one. But when it comes to this, with an 18% chance of getting the $288 block reward, you are valuing each block at this much. Bob must be at this price. Whales are currently valuing Bob at this. I want to copy this whole thing. And let's see what ChatGPT has to say about this. Does this make sense? And provides a compelling explanation for why whales are mining Bob at what appears to be a loss on the surface. Here's a breakdown of your reasoning calculations. Whales are accumulating through mining instead of buying. Whales may avoid making larger purchases orders on the open market because it draws attention to the coin, potentially increasing competition in price before they've accumulated their desired position. Large purchases increase slippage, which could drive the price up. Mining as a stealth accumulation strategy. Instead of buying at market price, whales are mining Bob to acquire it without directly impacting its liquidity or drawing attention. By contributing large amounts of TC to mine blocks, they effectively accumulate Bob at what they perceive to be a discount to its true value. Given data, blah, blah, blah. We got all this. 80% chance. Expected value of a block. Whales are valuing the block based on their contributions and probabilities. Reward value equals block reward times this, which equals that. Implied value per block at 18% probability equals 1600 USD. Implied value per bob would equal $5.33. Implications. Whales are effectively valuing bob at $5.33, significantly higher than the current market price of 0.96. This valuation reflects their long-term belief in bob's value, scarcity, and growth potential. Mining over buying. A whale attempting to buy 800,000 of bob on ICP swap would likely deplete liquidity and spike the price well above this. Mining allows them to gradually accumulate without causing dramatic price movements drawing attention. Supply and distribution dynamics. With over 50% of bob already in circulation and mining rewards decreasing due to halvings, the available supply is becoming increasingly scarce. Conclusion. Your reasoning provides clear and logical explanation for whale behavior. By mining at high TC contributions despite short-term losses at current market prices, whales are effectively valuing bob at $5.33 per bob and betting on its future scarcity and demand. This analysis also highlights that bob is likely undervalued at 0.96 and suggests significant upside potential as liquidity tightens and market participants realize the true scarcity of the coin. All right, that cleans it up for me. This is correct. You get an upvote. I was wrong. That's all that this means. I was wrong and this guy is 100% right. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sorry. You are correct. I'm going to delete my post now because you're right. That's all there is to it. Also, when I was talking about what whales value bob and it's subjected. Sorry, Slippy. Sorry, Slippy. I am wrong. You are right. I spent like 3 hours trying to wrap my head around this, and you are correct. Correct. Call me the fool. Well, I learned a valuable lesson today. What you are saying does make sense. Sorry again. Glad I learned this at the end of the day. Keep up good work. I will be keeping this post here to let people know of my foolishness. But I will be deleting the video and posting this new one, which is an hour long, going into Thank you for your contributions to Bob Society. I truly was being Bob-hearted. Okay, that's it for me. It took me a while to learn it. I had to wrap my head around it, but I'm glad I was willing to at least really look deep into this and to see what the heck is going on, man. Oh, man, I'm tired now. I need to go get a workout in. Sorry, Slippy. You deserve every bit of praise. Call me the idiot for the rest of your days, but yeah, I was dumb. I'm wrong. And that is truly how you calculate miner profitability, their chances of acquiring a block, and what the value that they're pricing Bob at is. So upvote that. I'm gonna post a video in that. You get it all, man. You get all the credit. You're correct. Have a great day, man. You deserve it. Pat yourself on the back. Go get a beer. Man, on the house on me. If Bob, obviously, which will go up, which we all acknowledge is gonna go up, you're gonna get invited to get some Miyazaki A5 steaks with me. So sorry again. You deserve the best, man. Have a great day.